Good morning, Christ is risen. I'm Father Kevin Long of St. Elias Antiochian Orthodox Church, Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Today is Thursday, April 23rd, 2020, a blessed feast day to those of you named after St. George today. And here are the readings. The first is from the Acts of the Apostles, chapter 12, verses 1 through 11. At that time Herod the king laid violent hands upon some who belonged to the church. He killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And when he saw that it pleased the Jews, he proceeded to arrest Peter also. This was during the days of unleavened bread. And when he had seized him, he put him in prison and delivered him into 4 squads of soldiers to guard him, intending after the Passover to bring him out to the people. So Peter was kept in prison, but the earnest prayer for him was made to God by the church. That very night when Herod was about to bring him out, Peter was sleeping between 2 soldiers bound with 2 chains, and sentries before the door were guarding the prison. And behold, an angel of the Lord appeared, and a light shone in the cell. And he struck Peter on the side and woke him, saying, "Get up quickly." And the chains fell off his hands. And the angel said to him, "Wrap your mantle around you and follow me." And he went out and followed him. He did not know that what was done by the angel was real, but thought that he was seeing a vision. When they had passed the first and second guard, they came to an iron gate leading to the city. It opened to them of its own accord, and they went out and passed on through one street, and immediately the angel left him. And Peter came to himself and said, "Now I am sure that the Lord has sent his angel and rescued me from the hand of Herod and from all that the Jewish people were expecting." The second reading is from the Gospel of St. John, chapter 15, verses 17 through 27, and chapter 16, verses 1 through 2. And the Lord said to his disciples, "This I command you, to love one another. If the world hates you, know that it hated me before it hated you. If you were of the world would love its own. But because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Remember the word that I said to you, a servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they will persecute you. If they kept my word, they will keep yours also. But all this they will do to you on my account, because they do not know him who sent me. If I had not come and spoken to them, they would not have sin. But now they have no excuse for their sin. He who hates me hates my Father also. If I had not done among them the works which no one else did, they would have no sin. But now they have seen and hated both me and my Father. It is to fulfill the word that was written in their law, they hated me without a cause. But when the Counselor comes, whom I shall send to you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, who proceeds from the Father, he will bear witness to me. And you are also witnesses, because you have been with me from the beginning. I have said all of this to you to keep you from falling away. They will put you out of the synagogues. Indeed, the hour is coming, and whoever kills you will think that he is offering service to God. This morning's gospel is another one that is heard in other places during our season of Lent and Holy Week, this time on Holy Thursday. That is part of the giant reading that we do at the very beginning of the reading of the 12 Gospels. But there are several very important things here that we need to keep in mind. The first is we see very direct references to the Holy Trinity. We see that Christ talks about the Father in the context that if you look at me, you see the Father. Now he means that both in terms of image, because the only true image of God that we can see is the image of Jesus Christ. But in addition to that, they are in such lockstep with one another that the will of one is the will of other. They have such love for one another that they desire to do the will of the other eagerly and without any kind of debate or concern. The love of the Father is clearly shown through the love of the Son, and the Son's love for the Father is done the same. And so that is part of what we should understand in our own lives with respect to Jesus Christ. Elsewhere in the same reading, he says, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments." And so it makes sense for us that the things that he teaches us are things that lead to life. And so we need to make sure that we're staying focused on those things, doing the things that are well-pleasing, not because it'll be a get our ticket into heaven punched or something like that, but because it truly displays the love that we have for the Son, which means also the love that we have for the Father. And that work is done through the gift of the Holy Spirit, and there you have it, the whole divine Trinity right there. Another very important thing for us to be mindful of is that when we do these good works, and these works are not meant to shame others, these works aren't meant to humiliate others, these works aren't meant to show that we are morally superior or theologically superior to anyone else. That's not what this is about. Humility remains the groundwork of what we do. But it's very clear that if we do the things that we are called to do, the world is going to hate us. And so it's not like we can look for approval in the things that we do. Our culture teaches us that when we do right, we are rewarded, and when we do wrong, we are punished. But actually, when it comes to the church, it's almost like the opposite is true. That when we do right, the world hates us. And when we do what the world wants us to do, which to God is probably wrong, then the world will love us. That's a very tough thing for us to wrestle with, because it's hard to know if we're doing the right thing or not. And it's also important, again, to know that we're doing it for the right reasons. If we're doing it for selfish reasons, we're doing what the world wants us to do. If we're doing it out of devotion and love for God and for the other, then we are doing the right thing, and the world will hate us. And what a chilling praise, that last sentence there, that verily people will kill you and think that they are doing a service to God. What a horrible thing, but it's true. It's exactly true. They will think that they are doing the right things by punishing those who are truly doing right, because they are so misguided. They're so saturated in the ways of the world. They're so obsessed with the material world, with the created world, with money, with power, with violence, with coercion. They're so saturated with those things that they'll hurt others and think that what they are doing is rendering a service to God. May God have mercy on them and us. It's important for us to remember, again, as I said, that humility is the key. You're not going to be successful as a Christian, especially as a Christian leader, if you try to employ the ways of the world, including coercion, bullying, any other thing that involves violence or the forcing of somebody to bend their will. You cannot force somebody to bend their will. You can only show them the right way through your love and humility. I caught some flack earlier by saying you cannot compel anyone to do anything. And there may be times, especially if you're a parent with a child, when coercion is absolutely necessary. But when you're dealing with adult to adult, you cannot coerce, you cannot force, you cannot employ violence or any other kind of manipulation. You have to go through love and humility and peace. That is the way that Christ brings us to his bosom, and that is exactly what we need to do to others so that peace may thrive in this world and that violence may be finally set aside. May God have mercy on us, and may he give us the inspiration to do the right things that are well-pleasing unto him every day of our lives. Christ is risen. May God grant you a very, very blessed year and blessed day. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.